Hey YouTube, welcome to the Off-Grid Mountain Homestead. I've concluded a 3-night test of the Chinese diesel heater with the lithium battery running on diesel fuel, stored diesel. So got some pros and cons on this unit. I'll be going over that today. I'll go over the pros first. Such an easy way to get heat. So easy. You get your heater, you get you a 12-volt source, either from a lithium battery or deep cycle battery or a power supply, a little bit of go juice, and you've got a nice, easy way to heat your, structure, camper van, RV, whatever you got. It's so easy. Old 2-wire hook them up, throw some funny juice in there, and then light her off, and she works. It doesn't stink like a kerosene heater. There's still a fire risk because we got hot exhaust and things like that, but there's not an open flame like a kerosene heater or Mr. Buddy propane heater, things like that in your structure. So you can duct it right in a window, tape it off for an emergency. Great for like snowstorm or power outages. If your grid power goes down, it's good to have one of these around. A great prepping item or survival item if you're facing, adverse conditions. It works. Lowest temperature we got to during the test was 19 degrees Fahrenheit. Outdoors, no problems with fuel gelling. There's no treatment in this fuel. It's just straight pump diesel. The battery held up for 3 nights and still has voltage. I could probably go a 4th night on this battery right here. So no problems with consumption, keeping it running, things like that. Just a great little simple unit. Not really stinky out of the exhaust. It burns, fairly clean as far as smell wise. We don't get any exhaust smells really. It doesn't smell like an oil furnace, from the 80s or 90s. It doesn't stink like that. It's got a little bit of hint of diesel every now and again if the wind blows the right way, if you're outside near it. But for the most part, it doesn't stink. And, if you ducted that in your window and something happened to the unit sitting outside, you're isolated a little bit through that duct. So, there's another thing. If you knock it over, things like that, it's not going to catch on fire like a kerosene heater. So I can see its merits. And for camping, tent camping, you could take this, this is 20 pounds, 25 pounds. That's maybe 15 to 20 pounds. You could carry it and use it strategically over a camping weekend in the winter to keep your youngins warm, things like that. And, in your tent or whatever, if you're getting into the great outdoors, if you're I've even run it on the porch, blowing on the screen porch, blowing on our legs and stuff when it's been cold and windy. And, even for that, if you want to waste the fuel, it makes a great little porch heater. Better than them mushroom propane heaters or the, radiant propane heaters. It works great. Good forced air heating. So I've got some documentation for my 3-night burn. I've got a cheat sheet over here. So if I sound like I'm talking off to the side, I'm looking at my numbers. That's a lot of numbers. I was running outside every hour with probes and meters and doing all kind of measurements and stuff, checking on this thing. So I want to talk about performance of the unit first. First night number 1, ran on automatic, which it ended up running on high fire most of the night. So I got a good high fire burn rate on this unit. It's rated at 5 kW. If we convert that over to BTUs, that's a little over 17,000. It's the first night it burned a gallon of diesel fuel in 8 hours. So that brings us close to the 17,000 BTU rating. So that's good. It's 17,000 what it's rated. That's what it's consuming, and that's input BTUs, just like a gas furnace or oil furnace is rated, is BTU input. This thing does not have a BTU output rating or efficiency standard. So we don't know what we're getting out, but we know what it's consuming, and it is matching its data plate for consumption. Night number 2, I ran on low fire. Second night, I got 12.5 hours out of 1 gallon of diesel fuel. That comes out to be about 11,000 BTUs on low fire. And night number 3, I ran it on and off because I had it ducted in the window the 3rd night. So it was overshooting the temperature of the structure of the tiny house. So I'd have to get up and shut it off and then turn it back on and then shut it off. Played that game. So I got 14 hours the 3rd night. So, 14 hours to the gallon. If we average that out over 3 nights, we're still looking at roughly 2 gallons per 24 hours. And my current market price of diesel is $3.97 a gallon for street diesel. Of course, off-road diesel is a little cheaper, but street diesel, we'll use it for reference, $4 a gallon, and we're gonna burn at least 2 gallons a day. So, you know, $8 a day times 30 days of the month, that's $240 a month. So now we'll get into the cons. That's going to be expensive. That is very, very expensive. But you can't get mad at a horse for wanting to eat. I mean, it's consuming what it's rated to. And, you know, I kind of knew that going in, that, you know, it's going to consume a good bit of fuel to make its heat. Of course, that's how liquid fueled appliances work. So you got to take that in consideration. That's the biggest con of it, is it is hungry. And part of that is, even on low fire, it doesn't have a lot of turn down on it. I was thinking the burner would turn down to run 4,000 or 5,000 BTUs an hour. So there's a lot of claims online that they'll go through like 1/10 of a liter an hour and all this jazz. Well, that's not the case. She cooks through fuel like candy. It's hungry. So, and I'll go into con number 2, the controller. The factory controller does not shut off at its set point like a standard thermostat. I had it on automatic. I thought, you know, it was like any other thermostat in the world that's ever been made, that once it hits set point, it cuts off. You know, you get a little deadband temperature sag, boom, fires back off. No, it stays on the whole time on low fire, even if the set point is satisfied. So in a small structure like the tiny house, 320 square feet, and we're dumping this, whatever our output is, we don't know the output, we know the input. So I'm assuming if it's 70 or 75% efficient, that we're dumping in, you know, around 8,000 BTUs an hour on low fire. That overheats the tiny house in a short matter of time. So you got to treat it like a wood stove. You got to load it up, turn it on, and then it gets hot, and then you shut it off, and then you get cold and you turn it back on. So that's annoying. They do make an aftermarket controller for these units, but the con is the aftermarket controllers cost almost as much as the unit costs. The aftermarket controllers are available from different vendors, $75 to $150, give or take, depending on, you know, which vendor you go with, but they will let it do automatic control. So there's, you know, we can solve that problem. And then efficiency. We know our input, we don't know the output. One thing that surprised me is how hot the flue gas gets on this thing. A lot of people talk about condensating and cold flue temps on their units. Maybe this one needs a tune-up, maybe it's just this unit. But we average 250 degrees Fahrenheit discharge air temp out of the heat exchanger. But the flue gas temps never went below 400 degrees anytime I checked it. And I saw them as high as 800 degrees. So it is cooking off on the flue gas temp, or exhaust gas temp. So it really needs a combustion analyzer run on it, put the analyzer to it, see what our CO, our NOx, and all that stuff is coming out of it to get a true efficiency rating on this. So that needs to be done, because there's some tuning options where you can change the pump speed, the fan speed, and all that in these units to optimize the burn, but you can't really be messing with it without a combustion analyzer. So I've got a back rack analyzer, but it's got a bad sensor, so I gotta get a sensor for that, and we will do a combustion test on this unit and see if I can wring out some more efficiency out of it. So that's you know, that's kind of a con. I'm kind of concerned we got such a big split between the discharge air temp and the flue gas temp. Leads me to believe that we're probably not hitting 70% efficiency on it. Just a gut feeling on that. Now I'll try to prove it with the back rack, you know, but for now I'm guessing we're sub 70% efficiency level, just instinct on that. So that's a con. And then I got a little minor gripe about it too. It's not really a big negative, but it's noisy. Yes, it's noisy. It's loud for what it is. Of course, we're moving a lot of air. You know, we got duct noise, no big deal. I can deal with the duct noise, but the flue or the exhaust noise sounds like a little mini turbocharger running on like a tractor or a bobcat. You can hear it whistling. And then the fuel pump, tick, 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 tick. It really reminds you of a 7.3 Power Stroke. If you ever heard one of them idling, that's what it sounds like. And that's how much fuel it consumes, is like a 7.3 Power Stroke idling. So you got some noise, and you know, 100 foot away, you can hear it running. You can hear it whistling. You can hear it ticking. So that's, you know, if you're out in the woods where it's dead quiet, you know, you can hear it a good ways off. Urban environment, no, you're probably not going to hear it that much. So that's a little gripe for me. Or if you're worried about, you know, making noise at night when you're camping and things like that, yeah, it's you're going to hear it running outside your tent or your camper van, RV, whatever. I could hear it through the walls, 6-inch thick insulation exterior wall. I could hear it outside the window whistling and ticking all night. So that's a minor annoyance. Just nature of it. I'm sure we could probably put a moped muffler or some kind of different muffler set up on it and quieten it down a bit, or wrap the exhaust pipe. There's all kinds of options. It's a great machine. It just, it can use some modifications or some alterations to make it better. It's a good starting point, but it can be made better. I want to make sure, full transparency of its pros and its cons, but there's still room for improvement, and I'm going to try to improve it. So lots of stuff coming up on this little unit here. I mean, low cost, reliable heat thus far. When I get it on biofuels, our cost is going to go down. I'm going to try to get the fuel consumption down too, but just a great machine, want to let everybody know. So successful test. I'm happy with it, minus a few little gripes, of course. And like I said, the fuel consumption, that's the biggest thing. We're going to try to fix that too. But hope you enjoyed the video. Appreciate it if you hit the like button if I earned it. Question or anything, put it in the comments section. And greatly appreciate a subscription from you. Thank y'all for watching the Off Grid Mountain Homestead. Hope you have a wonderful day.